I do want to make sure I tell you that this one is not specific to novel writing. It's one of those general vocab words. But I love using asides. I do it all the time. And it's not just specific to like writing either. There are tons of asides that happen in movies as well. So let's go ahead, everybody screen facing forward for just a quick second. Screen facing forward, screen facing forward. Everybody. Except my creative writing team kiddos. Okay, so, in real life, this obviously would mean something different. But in creative writing world, this is when you get a character who speaks directly to the audience. So I remember watching a play, and the first time I saw an aside, it was shocking because it was so weird that all of a sudden, one of the characters on stage who was supposed to be performing turned to the audience and was acknowledging that we were there, right? That's not normal in a stage play, that they interact with each other and basically pretend that there's no audience, right? And so that's what's called breaking the fourth wall, is a really popular synonym for aside, because especially on a stage play, actors are trained, right? You have the stage or the set behind you, and sometimes there's stuff to the side, so those are 3 of your walls, if it was like a normal situation. And then they're basically trained that they're supposed to pretend and interact with their area as though there is a literal fourth wall in front of them, right? And that's why it's called breaking the fourth wall, that they're gonna no longer pretend that that's in front of them, that there is actually an audience there. So for example, the one I saw, one of the actors was like, "Hey, audience, something crazy's about to happen. Make sure you're paying attention for this part." Asides can happen for all kinds of reasons. I'm gonna show you a couple of examples in a second. Like Dora does asides all day, every day. "Hey, audience, can you say map?" Right? That is acknowledging that there's actually an audience on the other side of the screen, right? There's this thing happens, and you'll see this in one of our examples, that it's kind of assumed that if it's a live performance, they basically pretend like the other characters in the play can't hear the aside. You might use it to explain something, to really point things out, to do some foreshadowing, to make the character more believable. There's all kinds of reasons. So I am going to show you multiple examples really quick so that you can see all the cool ways that you might want to use an aside. And Brecklin, if you will, keep going. Sorry, thank you so much. Okay, so first one is from Studio C. The aside happens halfway through.
Honey, I don't want to keep bringing this up, but could you stop making these? I don't like them very much.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I've got another one in the oven.
I don't want to sound insensitive, but have you noticed how much weight you gain when you have these? And let's be honest here, they never smell good.
Look, let's not argue, okay? We could give it to the new neighbors. Tell them it's a housewarming gift.
You kidding? We give them that, they're going to think we're nuts or something.
Nonsense, they'll love it. Do you think I should give it to them personally or just leave it on their doorstep?
Oh, just leave it on their doorstep. I don't want them to know we gave it to them. They might try to give it back.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead to the aside because it's really important in this case. And you'll see, you'll see. Okay.
This is why I wanted a dog.
Okay, so he freezes and then pretends like he can't hear Whitney
As many of
talking.
you have realized, that wasn't very funny. You see, we here at Studio C spend many hours writing, revising, and sometimes completely rewriting our shows. Sometimes, however, our material doesn't need to be rewritten, but merely looked at in another way. We will illustrate this principle by making a slight change, replacing this questionable pastry with a baby.
Kiki, do I need to sign it?
Honey, I don't want to keep bringing
Okay, so
this up.
that's the
but
end
could
of
you
the
stop making
aside.
these?
We'll watch over that.
I don't like them very much.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I've got another one in the oven.
I don't want to sound insensitive, but have you noticed how much weight you gain when you have these?
It should be called things not to say to
And
your
let's
wife.
be honest here, they never smell good.
Look, let's not argue, okay? We could give it to the new neighbors. Tell them it's a housewarming gift.
You kidding? We give them that, they're going to think we're nuts or something.
Nonsense, they'll love it. Should I give it to them personally or just leave it on their doorstep?
Oh, just leave it on their doorstep. I don't want them to know we gave it to them. They might try to give it back. Great, now it's dripping all over me. Honestly, these things are such a mess. Hold this.
Oh! Honey, you could have stained the carpet. I don't understand this aversion you have.
I just have no use for them. Except maybe as a paperweight, but But then again, it's nastiness everywhere.
That is it. I'm going to my mother's.
Fine, take this with you. Your mom will probably love it. She hasn't had one in years.
Good things not to say to your mother-in-law. Okay, so that's just one example of an aside. Let's watch this tiny bit from Emperor's New Groove, which I need to rewatch that movie. It's such a good one. Okay, so in Emperor's New Groove, they have this little scene happening, and then it gets interrupted. It's almost like a record scratch with the aside.
Have to do with it.
No. He's got a point.
Right here.
Hi, excuse me. 2 seconds here. I'm the one in the car, remember? This story's about me, not him. Okay, you got it? All right, we're gonna move ahead. Sorry to slow you down.
So, like, for Studio C, the aside was to make it more funny. On this one, they're trying to really get you to pay attention to important details. On this one, this is more like characterization, that you're getting a feel for kind of what a punk this kid is. This is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If you've never seen that movie, it's an important, iconic movie. It's part of, like, such an important part of growing up. It's a good one. Okay. Here's the aside.
My ninth sick day this semester. It's getting pretty tough coming up with new illnesses. If I go for 10, I'm probably gonna have to barf out a lump. So I better make this one count. The key to faking out the parents is the clammy hands. It's a good non-specific symptom. I'm a big believer in it. A lot of people will tell you that a good phony fever is a deadlock. But you get a nervous mother, you could wind up in a doctor's office. That's worse than school.
Right, so see the idea here that they're setting up that this character is obviously a rule breaker. Anybody else's parents like that? Like, if I was ever sick in school, my mom, we had to prove that we were basically on the brink of death. I found this one like 2 days ago, but this is Jimmy Fallon, who also breaks the fourth wall, and we have an aside. It hasn't happened yet, you'll see.
No, Danny, these cue cards must be larger in size, okay? This is the Tonight Show. Get it together. The cue cards must be right. They are the live vests in this ocean of televised late-night joker.
Yeah, right here, right? Because he's talking directly to us, the audience.
Last looks are the final touch-up for the show. Even the finest furniture needs a good polish.
So for this aside, he's like trying to make us feel like we're part of his cool, glamorous world, but he's also being really sarcastic at the same time.
Mr. Fallon, you got a phone call?
A phone call when someone calls you on the phone. Hello? Yes, dear, I'll be right there. My wife. I love that woman more than people love their friend's Netflix password.
Okay, and in case that wasn't enough examples, how many of you are at all familiar with a series of unfortunate events? They made a couple movies. Yeah, there's a movie, there's a Netflix series. The books are really awesome, or at least the first one is really good. And this, chapter 1 of the first book, starts with an aside. So this is a literary aside. If you're interested in stories with happy endings, you would be better off reading some other book. What a great hook is that, right? To tell people they shouldn't even read your book. And then how many of you are like that? Somebody tells you not to do something, and then you're like, no, now I'm gonna do it, right? It's awesome, right? What a weird hook. And then, last one, Percy Jackson, also, almost the very beginning, starts with an aside. It's the second sentence. If you're reading this because, hold on. Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood. If you're reading this because you think you might be one, my advice is close this book right now. Believe whatever lie your mom or dad told you about your birth, and try and lead a normal life, right? So those little moments of asides, they're really interesting. I'm not saying you have to do it, but it is a cool creative writing trick. Brooklyn, you can stop recording.